Hey, thank you so much for that. That was wonderful, Ian. We just had our co-host hop in. Hey, Gavin, how you doing? Can you hear us? Okay. Gavin's frozen.
Man, he's so perfectly still.
Yeah. This is Gavin is a professional
performance artist.
statue.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And killing it right now. Look how still he is. We have a little bit of technical difficulties with our co-host Gavin for the evening. Hopefully we get that to fix itself soon. In the interim,
Hey, he doesn't mean robot.
I know it doesn't mean robot. In the interim, while they get that taken care of, how you doing today, Ian?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
I actually went out of the house today, took a little drive, ordered some big guys. Drove right up. They came out, dropped it off. Very safe, very fast, very clean.
Yeah.
It was a good exchange.
I love it. That's good.
Got to support those businesses through this time, man.
Absolutely. We just did last night. We did a trivia on the ETC page, and I had Connie Brown from the Brown Cow sit in with me, and it was really nice. She gave away a gift card to the winner, and she was bantered with me throughout the thing. I think we're going to do that a little bit more.
The
I think
owner
Gavin's
of Brown
up and running
Cow's
now.
Brown?
Is this any better?
The owner of Brown Cow's last name is Brown?
Yeah. The owner of Brown Cow's name is Brown. Yes, I can hear you now, Gavin. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah. How's that lag?
Okay. Oh, it's a little laggy, but it's okay. We'll make it work. No worries.
All right. Cool.
So we were just talking.
Is giving me some problems today, which is fun.
Yeah, we were just talking about how our days were. How's your day been, Gav?
Work from home has been an experience and a half. A lot more animals get crossed when you're working from home, but
Yeah. You got to pay Tom. You got to pay Tom Nook, man. That fascist.
Tom Nooks is getting paid on the company dollar.
That's right. Oh, thank you so much, darling. The wonderful Kate Schmidt just brought me some tea. You want to say hello to our viewers, Kate? Oh, look at that special guest.
Hopping in. It'd be funny if she showed up in my feet. On my side.
That's right. That'd be awesome. Like, what?
My tea, thank you.
So, usually I have a question to start off with, but I mean, I'll be honest with y'all. Today I've been a little bit run down, a little tired. I had trouble sleeping because of anxiety. So maybe that's what we talk about. How's your anxiety in the age of sheltering in place?
Well, I got guitars, so that brings my stress level down.
Yeah. Oh, Christina Waters says, "Hi, Kate." And Linda Hughes Vincent says to you, "Love the choice of your guitars, son Chuck." What does son Chuck mean? Is that like an inside thing?
Son Chuck?
Yeah. SON Chuck.
Child of Charles? No, I don't know.
I don't know what that means. Christina Waters suggests getting a weighted blanket. I should try one of those because I have been having some high anxiety lately.
Do you listen to music when you sleep?
I'll listen to something usually.
Or anything.
Yeah, I'll usually fall asleep with an earbud in, to calm down. So
lately, I've been falling asleep to like podcasts or interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll have dreams where I'm like trying to talk to them. I'm trying to talk, and they're not letting me talk. I'm getting all frustrated because nobody's listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
What that's about. Don't sleep with conversations is the thing.
Yeah.
Probably the lesson there.
Yeah. How about you, Gavin? How's your anxiety been?
It's rising now.
Oh, all right. We lost Gavin. That's all right. Hopefully, we're gonna get them back in a little bit.
How do you think people are dealing with, people who need their medicine right now? Is the pharmacies? Do you think it's a hectic time over there?
I don't know. Like, I'm wondering
Can
about
you
that myself.
Stock up on that kind of stuff?
Because, like, I'm about to take my pills right now, my nighttime pills, and I wonder, like, are people, like, able to get their pills easily? Like, am I going to be able to get refills easily? Because I haven't had to do it yet.
This has been an interesting experiment on how people can hunker down. How can we do it? Can we make it this X amount of time?
Yeah, absolutely.
We think we can until you realize, oh, I need that, and I need this, and I need that, and this.
Since you're a musician, let me ask you this. What are some of your go-to, like, songs? Like, what, like, songs are the ones that calm you?
The ones that calm me? Probably the ones that are familiar to me. The ones that bring me to a nostalgic place. For me, it's a lot of Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Nina Simone always calms me down.
I love Nina.
Oh man, just the touches on the piano. All I need is a couple of those little girl blue, and I'm like, Mazzy Star, Portishead, some of that kind of stuff. That always brings me to a nice place.
I didn't know you were a Actually, I think I did know you were a Portishead guy.
Oh, love Portishead.
Yeah. Gavin, so welcome back. We were talking about, like, music that soothes us, and I lost you again. Oh, that makes me sad. I think we got some music happening.
Reminds me of a Portishead song.
That's tight. I'm a big Portishead. I love Portishead. Like, Portishead is a good band to listen to on a rainy day.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that was tight. Oh, we got Gavin back. Hey! My poor Gavin's having all the technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's rough out here.
Let's just comment on the intermittent Gavin. Here he comes. There he goes.
Allison says we need to get Gavin better internet. So Christina said, "Keep the music going. Give me." Yes. Okay, Ian. Here's what I want. Give me Portishead meets Massive Attack, like the intro, like your intro to, like, House MD.
Oh, jeez. On a guitar? Let's see.
Yeah, on the guitar. Let's see if you can make it happen. This is a challenge.
It's not lupus.
Classic. Christina says, "Get it, Ian." All right. She also said that her guns are bigger than mine, which is not true. I have bigger guns. Just saying. So something I will share today is that I am down to 311 pounds now.
Oh boy!
Congrats!
Yeah. Thank you.
How tall are you, Maui?
Yeah, thank you.
How tall are you?
Oh, 6'1".
6'1"?
6'1",
All right,
yeah.
you and I are both 6'1".
Yeah.
And you just passed me on the way down because I'm about 325 right now.
Yeah. You got to get down with me, man.
Yeah, you're right. We need to do this together, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What's your goal weight?
220.
Oh,
220 is my goal weight. Yeah.
man.
Yeah. I want to get, and I want to have like abs, like nice, like sexy abs.
You're gonna be a diesel.
Yeah. I want to be cut abs. I've been going to a local trainer, Yolanda Taylor. She works out of Southwood Park, and it's been amazing.
Nice.
Life-changing. Yeah. Gavin, let's see if you can talk this time without cutting out on me. Give me real quick before we bring our guests in. What's your go-to soothing music? All right. Wonderful. So, Sounds of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel. I love it. My poor G Pack is not able to do the thing. It makes me sad.
My old friend.
Yeah.
I've come to talk to you again. 'Cause Gavin is having technical difficulties. And I don't know what rhymes with difficulties. And I see him come, and he goes right back away. What do I say? This is my song for Gavin. All right, sorry.
I love it. No, that was beautiful. Yeah. So that's okay. You know what? We'll just get into the first part in a little bit early. Let's bring Dima in. Since G-Pack is having some technical difficulties, let's bring in Dima a little bit early. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, we're just chilling here. We're just having a little convo, Dima.
Yeah.
So we'll ask you. Hey.
Hello.
Everybody, say hello to Dima Ali, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Dima. We feel like Brady Bunch. Hey, down there.
Hi. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great.
Hello.
Yeah, we got Gavin back, and Gavin looks like
Gavin.
they might have better,
Is that better?
Signal. Marcy Grant says hi to you, Dima.
Hello, Marcy.
Yeah. Dima, let me ask you this question. What kind of music do you listen to like calm down when you're anxious?
I love the Beatles,
Oh.
and I love Michael Jackson, and I have been singing "Staying Alive" for the last week. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm a big Beatles fan. Okay, Beatles. Then, Ian, you wanna give us the end of the segment with a little bit of Beatles?
Say it again. I don't hear you well.
He said Ian's gonna close us out with this segment with a little bit of Beatles.
Okay, here comes the sun.
Here comes the sun.
Yeah.
Okay, here comes the sun.
Here comes the sun, Chuck. Little darling, it seems that it's slowly melting. Little darling, it feels like it since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright.
Aww.
Yay!
Thank you so much, Ian. Everybody, say goodbye to Ian, our wonderful band leader, the Reggie Watts of the Echo Show. Thank you so much, Ian. I will see you next week, brother. And
you.
look out for some exciting stuff that Dee and I are gonna start rolling out next week for the friendly page. It's gonna be exciting. All right. Have a good night, Ian.
Bye.
Bye, Ian.
All right.
Good night.
All right. So we
Okay.
have Dima. We're just waiting for our other guest, Dr. Regina Kim. But while we wait for Dr. Regina to hop on, we'll start with you, Dima. First of all, Dima, how are you?
Okay. I think stuffing my face with ice cream and food. Hey. Yeah, I'm fine. I am. Nighttime is hard on me.
Yeah.
I don't sleep well, but in the morning it's okay. You just wake up and you have hope for the day. And I'm busy making these masks, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be strong for the kids, and you have to be strong for the community and your neighbors.
Yeah.
But at night I fall apart. I have a cryo clock, and it's really it's good. Every day around 10:30 is my cryo clock. And I'm not ashamed. I'm a big girl and I cry. Hey.
Yeah. Crying is therapeutic. I cry all the time. I cried
Yeah.
last night myself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yay,
So,
Gavin! I can hear you. So everybody meet Gavin. Gavin's having some technical difficulties in our first segment. Gavin works with the Echo Theater Collective and is a wonderful local actor. And they are a very, very dear friend of mine. And I love them very, very much. And I am so happy you were able to be a part of this tonight. So thanks so much for joining us, Gavin.
Of course, as soon as you say my name, the lag comes back, which is fantastic. It's and the technical difficulties come with me. Right?
Yeah, I know, right? We can hear you now, so that's a step up. It's a step up. And also, I'd love to welcome Dr. Regina Kim to the show. Hi, Dr. Kim. How are you doing?
Doing well. We're trying to adapt to all the new information that's coming in. It seems like things are changing by the hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with you, Dr. Kim. Dr. Kim, can you tell us, generally speaking, where do you think we're at with this? Just generally speaking, in the attempt at curve flattening. Are we doing a good job? Are we not?
Yeah. It's hard to say. When we started the shelter in place, we knew that it was going to take some time for the flattening or the slowing down of the numbers to go into effect. So we're not seeing that yet, probably. But we also know that it'll be another week or so before we can know for sure. I hope it was all the social distancing and was just in time to try to get this under control. But at the same time, we're seeing all the things that are happening in New York, and we're watching the tidal wave, so to say, coming in. So we're trying to prepare and mentally and physically, and also at all of our institutions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Mm-hmm. Dima, you were recently in the paper, right? You've been doing some awesome community led good service. You want to tell us a bit about what you've been doing?
So I've been making masks, surgical masks.
And so we've been having a severe shortage of masks.
Yes.
Specifically in N95 face masks, right, Dr. Kim?
All sorts of PPEs is there's a shortage of them. And last week I was watching Good Morning America, and I saw a hospital in Washington State. They put a word to the community, to the seamstress, to help making these masks. So I got inspired. I have a sewing machine. Meet my baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not professional. I know my way with the machine, but other than that, I'm just, I and it's been collecting dust in the basement. So I thought I'm gonna take it out and oil it, and let's see what am I gonna do. I have some fabric, and I made the first one. The first one sucked. It was awful.
Yeah.
The machine didn't work well, and but the second one was okay. The third one was really good. And I watched tutorials, YouTube tutorials, and I settled on this design. It's really easy. It's 3 layers, and it has a pocket inside it to add more filters,
Mm-hmm.
and elastics, and just pretty simple.
Yeah.
So I had no materials, and I put a word on Facebook. And guess what? I woke up to boxes of fabrics and elastic on my porch. And I'm not surprised. This is our community. When we have something, we all come together. So I immediately jump into action and I start making them. And I have had requests from doctors, nurses, um, community members who are sick. A woman I know, her daughter has asthma, and she asked for them, and I give them away for free. By the way, I don't charge. Um, I gave to my mailman. I gave to the delivery FedEx guy. I gave to the garbage guy. This is community. This is how you be in service. And if you know me, you know I am a doer. I immediately jump into action. I was devastated the 2 to 3 days after the shelter, and I was a mess. My business shut down. I started to cancel my trunk shows and my events, and it really broke my heart. But then I was like, and then what? We're in this for God knows how long. Maybe if I shift my mentality and think of my jewelry materials as something I could utilize, and I start using some of the materials. So yeah, we're in this together, and if I help save one person, I don't claim that these will save people. I don't even know if they're effective, to be honest, but it's something. It's something better than nothing. And there's a request. There's a request on them. I did not just, come out of nowhere and say, oh, I'm reinventing the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
But if I manage to keep one person safe, that's a win for me, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of back and forth on the effectiveness of these masks from people.
Yeah.
Dr. Kim, I'd love for you to comment on that. Is I have been told from some friends who are in the healthcare industry that it limits the amount of droplets that get through to your face. Is that correct?
Yeah. So our position, and Dima, gifted me one too, and I'm very grateful. And so the whole discussion about this has been that there's such a shortage, and ideally we're supposed to wear the N95 mask every time we see a patient, right? And then we take it off and then don a new one for the next person, and it's supposed to protect us from the droplets and the virus. But given this shortage, and we're being basically allocated one mask, for the whole day, and in a lot of hospitals, people are just without any protection. And so, CDC recently had even come out to say if there's nothing, that a bandana or scarf should be used as a last resort. So so there's been a lot of movement to make these fabric masks, and I'm also impressed with all the community and the individuals that are being so creative, try to procure the materials. And I've heard people talking about testing out vacuum bags and reusable grocery bags, and air filters. I know Dima was experimenting with those. And so the ingenuity and also the willingness for people to help kind of protect the healthcare workers has been really heartwarming. But yeah, I mean, the whole point is to have some sort of a barrier so that even if there's nothing, then it can at least give us some protection, right? It's basically, isn't it better than nothing?
Yeah, absolutely. Gavin, I don't know if your audio is working at this point. Did you want to ask a
Hopefully.
question to either of our guests?
Yeah, for Dr. Kim, I know that there's been a lot of discussion about whether or not, not only is it whether it's helpful or not, but also, not on a medical level, but on a psychological level, is it helpful to see other people wearing these masks? Is it helpful to have these masks on when they're in the workplace? And I'm just wondering what you think about like the almost placebo effect of having these just to make people feel a little better about like the sanitation and the level of like care that's being given in order to make sure that people are staying healthy and being conscientious about spreading their own germs.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I've heard different arguments on both sides. And on one side, there are people who are saying, well, if you're wearing a mask, giving people this false sense of safety might kind of make them not take the usual precautions, and that might put them at higher risk, which is understandable.
Right.
And then on the other side of the token, we do know that this is a very infectious virus, and the whole thing about 6 feet social distancing is that it's that breathing in that same air can also be a risk, because now we're realizing there are so many people who don't have any symptoms that can carry this virus and infect other people. So in that sense, I think psychologically, I think it can help, because it's also kind of like visual cues, because if you're seeing other people wearing the mask, it'll kind of cue us to say, oh yeah, this is a dangerous situation that we're all in, and we definitely need to distance and protect ourselves. But that there is probably some theoretical explanation that can actually help. And in some of the hospitals now, they're actually moving forward and asking all of the hospital employees to wear a cloth mask. So that says something too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. My next question. Oh, actually, I have a viewer question. Jennifer Malone asks, is it easier to reuse the handmade masks?
Is for me question?
For either of you, do you know, like, is it easier to like reuse those or like wash them?
I mean, mine are washable and reusable, and this is the whole point of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Yeah, and
awesome.
the thing is, it's needed to cover the actual surgical blue mask.
Mm-hmm.
So, because nowadays, and this is based on what my husband experienced at the hospital, they go in the morning, they sign a sheet, they give them one of these surgical blue masks. They give them one. This is I have it, like I dismantle it to make it. They give them one of this all day long. My husband used 10 to 15 each day, because he has to change every time he see a patient.
Oh wow.
So if they give you one and they expect you to keep it unless it's soiled, and then you have to throw it away, how do you keep this clean?
Yeah.
So by adding this on top of this, maybe, it's an attempt to keep the surgical one clean.
Yeah.
And actually, the receptionist today, he told me the receptionist in his office, in his clinic, they had none. They had zero, nothing. And these are these are the really first responders. They are in contact with people. People come in, check in, and they have nothing. They have zero because, sorry, we don't have it. So it's reusable. I washed it. I put it in heat, in hot water, and it's hold up. Yeah. How long? I don't know, really. But if it fall apart, I can make another one.
Yeah.
And by the way, there is an army in Oak Park. It's not just me. There is a group called Oak Park Mask, something. Mm-hmm. It's not just me. And I have to give them credit. All these women, we nurture, we homeschool. We try to keep it together, and we make these. So it's not just me, and it's important to give them credit as well.
Absolutely. Shout out to that group. We'll try and find out the name
Bree
of that group and
and
give them a shout
I
out
remember the
on
other
the page.
woman named Bree and Lacey, I think.
Yeah.
And
There-
many other women in our community, they are doing this, and just we're trying to help. We're trying to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm constantly. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Kim.
Oh, last I saw, the Facebook group had about 500 people in that private group of mask makers and people who are, requesting masks. And while there are these communities that are making the masks and distributing them, there also has been this incredible community effort that I've seen, and that people have been reaching out, friends and friends of friends, and have been reaching out to collect and collect money, collect masks, donations. So one of our kids' teachers, she was able to connect with a friend's family in China to procure the masks, and she was basically she was working day and night, like on the phone and emailing because of the time difference also, and was able to find manufacturers there and connect them to the hospital supply chain folks with the hospitals, and really it's been just really grassroots and just getting the funds and the masks shipped here and donated. There has been Chinese schools, groups of scientists and engineers, teachers in the Chicagoland communities that are Chinese American heritage, and it's been incredible to see how all these groups have been coming together to help the healthcare workers. It's truly heartwarming, and it gives me so much hope.
Yep.
Absolutely, and I think it's a good segue to the next thing I wanted to talk about. We'll start. Gavin, I'd love you to comment on this, and that is the acts of kindness that you've seen in the wake of this, because I've just noticed, just like when I go for my walks, like people are much more prone to wave and just say hi and to say be safe, or like all the chalk writings on the sidewalks of like positive affirmations that just kind of help me get through my day. Like the first time I saw it, as I was coming from work for the last time, I brought in all my work equipment home, and I had to run back and grab something, and I walked home from downtown Oak Park, and the entire way back I just saw all of these positive affirmations on the sidewalk as I was walking home, and it just it made me cry to see that. Or like all the faces, I don't know if they're doing this in Oak Park, but in Forest Park they're putting up all these signs and like smiley faces in the windows and things like that. So my question is, and we'll start with Gavin and then Dima and then Dr. Kim, can you just point out some of the random acts of kindness and that you've seen out in the community since this has happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, responding specifically to what Dr. Kim was talking about, my mom is also in adult day healthcare, and it is startling and kind of scary, the lack of proper PPE and materials that will help the people on the front lines stay safe and sanitized. But my mom has taken to sewing her own masks for the clinics to use and all that, which is incredibly sweet and such a heartwarming thing to hear on the phone. My mom is out in LA, so unfortunately I can't be with my family in this crazy time right now, but hearing that story over the phone touched my heart, and I'm proud of her every day for all the work that she and her clinic are doing, helping this crazy situation. Otherwise, a lot of the kindnesses that I've seen have been on Facebook, because I have been pretty diligent about staying inside as of late. But a group of theater practitioners, two of whom I consider very good friends of mine, organized this thing called I believe it's the Chicago Theater Artist Emergency Fund, or Chicago Artist Emergency Fund. And it's unaffiliated artists. They're not working as any, theater company or any group, but collectively they, got a group chat going, and they got together this little fund, this Kickstarter or GoFundMe, some crowdsourcing thing, to raise money specifically for artists currently struggling with unemployment and with their contracts being, canceled unexpectedly. I think there were over $25,000 of just donations that they received, and they're fielding applications in order to see how best to allocate the funds. And just the fact that these people, unaffiliated with any group, out of just the kindness of their heart, decided to devote their unemployed emergency time to organizing something like that is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're actually going to be rolling out something similar to that next week, a rapid response fund for our local artists and gig industry community members that are struggling through this, because it's going to be a long couple of months for people in the gig industry for sure. Thank you for sharing that, Gavin. That was beautiful. A couple quick comments I have before we move on to Dima's meditations on that. Jennifer said that asked if we saw Paul Noble's post yesterday about unearthing all of the goggles and gloves and storage at OPRF, and all schools have potential PPE supplies sitting around. That's a very good one to point out. Allison did put the Facebook group in the comments, the Oak Park Mass group that you were mentioning, Dima. Thank you so much for that, Allison. And my mom said, "Very cool." Yay! Hi, Mom. Dima, what about you? What random acts of kindness that you have seen?
I have been drowning in kindness, to be honest, ever since this started. And I'm like Gavin, I haven't left the house. I have asthma, and I am afraid to leave my house. Not even for a walk, which is really not healthy. But I mean, everything going on, and it's too hard. But there is always. I remember Mr. Rogers look for the helpers, and there are so many of them around us. My neighbor, he has a 3D printing business, Jason, and he printed a face shield for my husband and his colleagues, and he went out of his way to have the design, and he went to get the materials, and he printed, and he gave it to my husband, and my husband took it to the hospital today, and they loved it. They want more. Jennifer, the one who is commenting now, I said on Facebook, I don't have Lysol. I found a can of Lysol on my porch. And these are small things, but it means so much to me and others. Yeah, we do the clap out at 8:00, and I feel it's a way of to go out and check on each other in the neighborhood. And we make sure, are you okay? Are you okay? Of course, keeping distance, but it became my new favorite thing.
What's the clap out?
The clap out at 8:00, whoever, in the neighborhood, in the block, we go out and we make noise and we clap to stand in solidarity with the healthcare providers, and just to make noise, just to we're alive. It's called clap out. And it's been going on in Oak Park since the shelter in place started.
That's awesome.
It's everywhere. Act of kindness. Whatever I need, I put the word on Facebook, and it's here before I even finish my sentence. People are kind, and people are generous, and especially, as much as I hate to say that, sometimes crisis brings the bad and the good in people. Yeah. I want to focus on the good. Yes, there was some bad moments, but I'd like to focus on the good moments, because one day we're gonna sit in our retirement center, telling our grandkids that we survived this.
Yeah. And
we're gonna tell them stories, and I want to remember the positive stories. I don't want to remember the bad ones.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Dima. Dr. Kim, a couple more minutes here before we have to bring our next guest in and say goodbye to the two of you. And so, first of all, thank you so much for all of your words and your information, and your and just the way the two of you are building community. But Dr. Kim, I'd love for you to close us out with your meditations on that. I know you gave us a bit, about the larger, Chinese American community and the things that are happening in that community, which I think is very important to name. I think it's important to name the bad stuff that is happening, but I think it's just important as it's named that. It's really important to center on the good. And so, thank you so much for sharing that with us. But more locally, in terms of our local community, what random acts of kindness have you seen?
Absolutely. And I mean, Dima said a lot. It's just like, random things that show up, or us going and dropping food off at a friend's house and just dropping it at the front door. Our neighbors, we have a couple of elderly on our block that don't have a family nearby. So our neighbor was also checking in on them, leaving them a note and, letting them know that we're here if they need anything. I think things could get, bad before it gets better. But I do hold out hope that our love and compassion and kindness that we have for each other will get us through this. And I'm going to say, I'm going to read this quick line. So I read this article that the Chinese companies were shipping crates of masks to Italy, and on the box that they printed these poems in Italian. And this was the translation. And it goes, "We are waves of the same sea, leaves of the same tree, flowers of the same garden."
I think that says it all.
It's cry o'clock here. It's cry.
It's cry o'clock.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's so lovely.
I think that's how we end it in your segment. Thank you so much, Dima, Dr. Kim, Facebook world. Shout them out. Let them know that you heard their stories. I think they're important stories that need to be heard.
Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks. Bye. All right. So that was, wow. Thank you so much for that, Gavin. That was pretty. I think inspiring to hear. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, between that and Wednesday's guest, was it Ada Chang? Just like, my goodness, the amount that these stories and all these words resonate with me is crazy.
Yeah. It is giving me hope throughout this. Our next guest, I've been working with our next guest for the past year on various things. And I'm a big fan of his. He's a wonderful artist and community member in the Oak Park area, working with NAMI. And I'm going to bring him in right now so he can tell us a bit about what he does in the community. Everybody say hello to Charles. Oh, your son, Chuck. I was so confused. Oh, thanks for solving the
mystery is solved.
You solved the mystery. Oh, listen to that audio quality. That sweet audio quality.
So I'd like to share the secret, and this wasn't planned, sort of like the hook at the beginning of the show. But my mom was the one who posted that particular comment. And I love that she was watching, and she's been, of course, one of my greatest, supports. I mean, she birthed me. Come on. I mean, she's a supportive person here. Though I think when she first turned on the feed, she thought that Ian was me, or that I was Ian. And so she was like, "Hey, cool guitar." And I was thinking about the whole weight thing, because I weigh about 200 pounds, and it says that, I've heard that, the camera puts on 15, but in this case, it sounds like it took off about 120. So
that's great.
I'm glad that that's the case for Ian. I'm sure he would be pleased to think that he was misidentified as someone who was 200 pounds.
Yeah, I love it. So, Charles, could you tell our audience a little bit about what you do in your path of how you got there?
Yeah, so
I know that's a big question.
That is. So my current day job is I'm the program manager at the Drop-In Center for NAMI Metro Suburban, and I'd have to say, well, my training was probably when I took my first drink. And what I mean by that was that I've been in recovery from alcohol and other drug addiction. I've been in long-term recovery, been sober for 29 years. So that's what got me into the field of social work and the recovery field. And eventually it was, and this will be interesting because I know there has been a lot of conversation and on your show too about people who are unemployed or will be unemployed. So I got the job at NAMI because I was laid off from Annixter Center, which is one of the primary disability service agencies in the Chicagoland area. Mm-hmm. And it, the state, it came from basically the 2008 crash. And so the state cut $25 million to the drug abuse prevention grant. I mean, zeroed it out. Mm. And I was 8 months without work. Though, again, the crisis opportunity was that eventually I found that local NAMI chapter was hiring, and I applied for that. And it's probably, of all the jobs I've had in about my 27 years of human services, this is probably the best fit, where I can bring my own personal recovery. I can bring my music and recovery through the arts philosophy and my social work background and my love of recreation and clubhouse feel all together into one center. So that's a start.
Yeah. Now I would like to zero in on that recovery through the arts. I know that's something very, very near and dear to you, and I love our audience to hear a little bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about what you mean by recovery through the arts?
So just to give an example of it, because I find that that story is at times the best way of getting the message through, which I imagine, Maui and Gavin, you're no strangers to that with Echo Theater Collective and Echo House. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, when I got sober, and I actually hadn't played guitar the last year I was out there drinking and drugging. Like my guitar, I had a Gibson Les Paul that just sat in the case. And when I got sober, it was a tenuous relationship that I had with it, because I sort of wanted to pick it up, but it's like, yeah, I had abandoned my guitar for about a year. So I went to a 12-step meeting, and I told one of the persons there, I was like, yeah, I feel like taking a drink, and started talking to me. Well, what are your hobbies? What are your interests? And I said, well, and I'm a guitarist, or I play guitar. I haven't played for a while. And he said, well, hey, why don't you, next time you feel like taking a drink, why don't you pick up your guitar instead? And maybe someday you'll get in touch with that creative monster within. Mm-hmm. And so that was my aha moment. That was my initiation. It was like the ritual elder was just, it was like, this is what you're going to do. And so I started working with that. It's like when I felt like taking a drink, I started taking to the guitar, and I would play through those feelings and emotions. And oftentimes what I found was on the other side of that experience of playing through the emotion or playing through the trigger or playing through the desire, that there was a new musical idea on the other side of it. And so that was the genesis of it. And pretty much every job that I've done since then in human services field, I've taken that approach to it of how can the arts help people to express emotion, to help people, especially who are in recovery, to deal with their own internalized stigma, and help them to tell their stories through the use of the arts, and go out there into the community and be part of the long-term recovery movement. Mm-hmm. And I'll close with this, that my understanding of the recovery sector, there's two threads to it. One is the anonymous movement, and it's, hey, you privately go into a private place and, you work with other people who are there, privately to support one another to get into recovery and to sustain recovery. And that's great. The other part of it, though, is the long-term recovery movement, which is about being public, which is saying, hey, I'm not going to be ashamed about this. I'm going to, because of my addiction and that I got into recovery, it actually, as I tell people, it's like, I had my midlife crisis at age 20. Mm-hmm. So I hit the wall. I mean, I'm about to be 50. I would probably be hitting the wall about now, but I hit the wall at 20. And that allowed me the opportunity to set on a path of individuation, on a path of spiritual growth and human evolution. And so I'm just incredibly, grateful for that. And then to go out into the world and to say, hey, I've learned things because of that. I've grown muscles that I'd like to help you, people without addiction or people without, a mental health condition, to also grow and to evolve.
Yeah. Jill Torpe Raymond, I don't know if I'm saying the last name correct, says, "Hi, Chuck, proud of your work." Just want to let you know people are shouting you out. I would assume that is a family member of yours.
Yes, sir. That is my sister.
Oh, hi, sister. Gavin, I know that both you and I have struggled with depression and are also both very passionate about how we use the arts. So I would love to hear, because I very much respect and hold your meditations on this particular subject very close to heart. And I would love to hear your meditations on some of what we just heard from Charles.
What's very front of mind right now. Quarantine and recovery and depression are not the same things, but in this crazy time, I'm seeing a lot of people feel, especially because my social circle is artists, a lot of people feel increased pressure to use this time as inspiration to create art. And it's not always that easy, right? And I really resonated with that part of your story where you were saying, someone gave you the advice of, when you feel like slipping back, reach for the guitar instead. And you want to program these alternatives in your head. When I feel like just giving up because outside is crazy pandemic right now, can I put pen to paper right now? And it's hard to make that synapse happen, to actually put that thought, that plan to motion. So it's incredibly inspiring to me to hear that, yes, that is something that we can do, and that is a step that we can take. I think I'm also contemplating, this idea that at the same time, it's also okay right now, as long as we don't take a step back, to just stay put. We don't necessarily have to pick up the pen, but let's put our effort not into, going into the art, but into just not slipping back. But as long as we have that idea in our head that there is an alternative to regressing, or to going back to the thing that's, keeping us down, there's an alternative, whether that's moving forward, whether that's taking a step to the side, whether that's just staying put. And that's really what's been on my mind as of late, as we're dealing with these hard times, this time that this new, hard times outside, new time in our house that we didn't know we had, and all these expectations that seem to come with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we're constantly. I feel what it comes down to, like all of these different things, be it having a shelter in place, be it having to recover from an addiction, struggling with various issues, be it mental or physical. I think all of these various things create trauma. And then the question is, how do we reconcile that trauma? How do we fold that into, that is part of our life? And if we try and box it up, I think that, it's still there, right? It's still part of you, and it's still something that you haven't dealt with. And so it's almost like a poison that happens, right? So how do we reconcile it? And I think the anonymous phase is a very important part of recovery. My mother went through Narcotics Anonymous. I have people in my life that went through AA. And that's part of it, right? That affinity group work in the beginning, I think, is very, very important. But like you said, Charles, in that long-term recovery, and I think it can apply to very, very many things. All the various forms of trauma that we deal with. How do we reconcile these two halves of ourself so that we can be whole? Because as long as we keep those broken pieces in a box, we are not whole. We have to figure out how we're going to glue ourselves back together, all right? How we're going to become whole again, and I think that that's a very important thing for us to have to do as human beings, and also as community, right? I think it's an individual thing, but I also think it's a communal thing. I think when we see how do we reconcile the trauma we have caused upon each other, be it Charles, you and I as men who have oppressed women. Charles, if it's, you as a white man, how the ways you've contributed to white supremacy, right? Like the various ways that we hurt each other, and we have to name that and accept it. Like that is part of who I am. Like I have hurt, I have fallen short of the goalpost every day, but how do I reconcile that and into my narrative, and not only tell my own narrative but also get out of the way of other people's narratives? And so I'm so happy that the two of you have been able to share that narrative with us today. I'm hoping that this brings a lot of people some hope and some life, so thank you so much.
Yeah, Maui. So, thank you for sharing those different aspects. So I'm just thinking of a couple different things, and Gavin too. I mean, thanks for both of you for speaking your truth and also, sharing about family situations. And yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking of doing 12-step work and this idea of, well, hey, when do I move to the next step? Is it like after 3 months and 5 days and 52 minutes that I, move to the next step, or how is it? And I was told from mentors and sponsors, it's like, it's a process, and trust the process. And one of the slogans that I use to this day is, all I need to do is the next right thing. And that will lead to the next right thing. And the other one that I heard in a talk in a 12-step program was, hey, if you hit a wall, turn left. So getting back to what Gavin was saying is if there's a moment where there's the thought of, oh, I should be creating right now or whatnot, though there's not necessarily the energy for that it's okay to hit that wall and turn left. And that eventually, in my experience, it will come forth that the right moment will be there for the interest or the idea or the passion or the connection of, hey, how about if I put peanut butter and chocolate together? It's like, we try something new. So I just think that it's important to be with where I'm at, and for other people to be with where they're at, and to also honor resistance, because I think resistance is there for a reason. I was in a bioenergetic men's therapy group. So I was doing body work and like accessing trauma and also our gifts, through the body and things. And one of the things that I learned, a gentleman's name is Leland Howe. He's in East Lansing, Michigan, when I was going to Michigan State. And he said, honor your resistance. Yeah.
I did not know that. Kate's sister is a professor at MSU. We go to East Lansing all the time.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. That's great.
Sorry.
That's all right, man. No, that's great. That's where Magani and I met. We met at Michigan State. Yeah, wow. Absolutely. So, so yeah, I think that the resistance is that what Leland Howe taught me was that the resistance is there for a reason. It has helped me or anybody to survive. And that sometimes it's like a warrior guard that's standing out there like, you're not going to go back in that room because I'm not going to let you get hurt. So it's a process, I think, of just sort of go green. I like that case saying, well, go white. Victory for MSU. Anyway, so for me, at times it's just honoring the resistance, and other times it's making a deal with myself, because sometimes I'm not totally there with wanting to create or not creating. So it's like, okay, well, I'll sit on the couch for this hour if you'll trade for 5 minutes of just opening up the guitar case and tuning the guitar. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes what I find is that if I do take that 5 minutes to just open up the case and to start playing guitar, even tuning it, is that ignites the passion most of the time. It's just, it's the hardest thing for me is just starting. Though it's okay to just be like, hey, I started, I'm not feeling it. At least I honored that side of myself. I made a deal. I attempted. And now's maybe not the time. And it's like seasons, kind of blows like the wind. Who knows when creativity is going to come or not.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of creativity, you're going to share a song with us before we close out tonight. What song you got for us?
Yeah. So So thanks, Maui and Gavin, again for that conversation. Really enjoyed it, and for the conversation before Magana and I were watching this. So I'm going to do a song. It's called "Clues Before Sunrise," and it's an original song, and it's right now in the Thelonious McGillicuddy catalog, which is my world funk and fusion project. And this song, and going back to the last segment, why I thought about doing this song was because I wrote this when my wife was having surgery for her first bout with cancer. And she gave me permission to speak of this, and I speak of this at gigs. And it was that moment of, when she went in for surgery and I was sitting down in the lobby, just experiencing complete, absolute powerlessness. Like, what do I do? I have no control over what's going to happen here with my wife, who, is in surgery. So the only thing that made sense in that moment was to start writing lyrics about the experience. That's the only thing that made any bit of sense. And it provided a solace for me during that time. And then I put eventually music to it. And so that's the song Clues Before Sunrise.
All right, here we go. Clues Before Sunrise. I'll mute my mic.
Okay. There's a case with a clue worth finding. Secret of unending flow, with a quality of truth unblinding. Something that I have to know, with the ills of what's now ailing you, be a burden on our minds. There's a spot upon the sun we'll stare together till we find. Together we'll both solve the case. Love and we take is the love and we make it. And together we'll try face to face. No more deny all that brings us down. We're gonna turn around, you and I. Let's sing out loud. Heard the news and it felt so confining. No direction for us to go. Get busy living or just start resigning. Is the sunshine left to melt the snow? Will the water I use to cool your brow cure the fever in your mind? You gotta stick around, don't choose to leave your body behind. You and me for all time, together we'll both solve the case. Love and we take is the love and we make it. And together we'll try face to face. No more deny all that brings us down. We're gonna turn around, you and I. Let's sing out loud. I can't take the pain no more. A distant thought I can't ignore. There's a light beyond the door. The clue I'm looking for is you. With a capital Y, it's you. Whatever we're going through, every situation, a revelation, love's creation. there's a case with a clue worth finding. Secret of unending flow, where the quality of truth unblinding. But something that I have to know, with the ills of what's now ailing you, be a burden on our minds. There's a spot up on the sun, we'll stare together till we find you and me for all time, but together we'll both solve the case. Love and we take is the love and we make, and together we'll try face to face. No more deny all that brings us down. We're gonna turn around, you and I. Let's sing out loud.
Hey, give it up for Charles, everybody. Thank you so much, Charles.
Oh man, my joy,
awesome.
my joy. Thank you so much.
Charles, you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for being on. Oh, real quick, tell the people where they can find you, what you got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, right now I'm hanging out a lot on a new Facebook page that I created. It's the Chicago COVID-19 Creative Artist Resources and Supports. So please hang out with us there, because we're just sharing a lot of resources and hanging out and creating and connecting with mutual aid groups and things like that. So check me out there.
Thanks so much, Charles. Have a wonderful day.
All right.
Thanks, Charles.
Right.
Thanks, Gavin. Thanks, Molly. Peace.
Bye. All right, that was awesome.
That was
Gavin, what
so
do you
great.
think of the show tonight?
I've had a lot of fun, technical difficulties aside.
Yeah.
It's been a blast. God, that I'm still stuck in that song. It was so funky and smooth and soothing.
Yeah.
It was like it felt like, you know, like the hug you give your partner before an uphill battle, you know? It
Yeah,
was,
absolutely.
yeah, it was healing. It was like the right kind of hurt, you know?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a beautiful song.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, like at the end, I want to be like WNUA 95.5, which you probably don't get that reference because you haven't been here that long. But that used to be a smooth jazz radio station in Chicago that we all.
You know, one of the few times I tuned into the radio in Chicago was when I was driving away from Oak Park to hear you getting interviewed on the radio this one time.
No, that's right. Yeah, on the wonderful Doris Davenport show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Well, Gavin, sorry about your technical difficulties, but I'm so glad we were able to make it work and you were able to be a part of this because you have such wonderful thoughtfulness on so many different things. And I'm serious. It's great to hear you talk. I'm happy you were able to be a part of it. Maura says she got the WNUA reference. My Chicago people holla.
Understood that reference.
So we end with an affirmation. I'd love if you could, maybe give us a little nugget, a little affirmation nugget to go into the weekend with.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna quote our esteemed guest. He spouted some wisdom just now, and I am taking away from all this and moving forward with the affirmation of all I need to do is the next right thing. I absolutely loved that, and I'm holding on to that.
Preach. I love that. Thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful night. We should be back on Monday. I don't know who my guest is yet. I should know soon. Definitely tune in on next Wednesday. I'll be having a in-depth conversation with the wonderful, the beautiful Rashida Graham Washington. I'm super excited about that because she is a mentor to me and just a wonderful, wonderful soul. So look forward to that. Be safe, be healthy, be kind to each other, and as always, echo love. Have a great night.
Love.
And in broadcast.